Hello and welcome back to another Compclub web development workshop video. I hope you enjoyed the quiz from last lesson. It's okay if you didn't get full marks. The quiz was designed to be sort of like I guess, introduce you to new topics. I hope you enjoyed it.
Alright, so now that we are getting into the actual programming in our series of videos, the first thing is that we see when we browse the internet that websites have many features that make them interesting and interactive. So some features include a navigation bar, like the one here on YouTube. We also have buttons. So this is taken from JS Fiddle, which we kind of showed off in the last video. And we also have pictures and videos. So a lot of sites will try to be interactive and have things for you to see and watch. And on top of that, there are many more. So we want to know what a navigation bar is. So as you've seen, probably in a lot of websites, a navigation bar allows us to connect our pages together and lets the user do many different things.
So below here we have like a Twitch nav bar where we have the discover, browse, try prime. Similarly, in our website we'll be making, we also have nav bars that goes to the about page, the events page, and the home page. So moving on to some HTML, we have a tag which is used to create a link. The link will take you to a website. It could also take you to another file inside your file directories. So when creating a link, the code is shown below. Do you have anything to say about this, Eric?
Yep, so it's important to remember that, like we said last week, we have to have the properties in the opening tag only. So when we see the A and then href is equal to website address, then we can notice that the href is in our opening tag and our closing tag is kind of by itself. So what do you reckon would be like an example of a website address you could use, Kenneth?
Well, you could just go to Google and you can just copy the link and you just paste it right into href inside the quotation marks. And when you click the tag, it should take you to google.com. Not only can you link to websites on the internet, you can also link to local files in your own file directory. So keep in mind the file has to be a HTML file, and when you link it, you have the file name inside href as long as the file is in the same folder, which in this case it should be.
Yeah, exactly. So say you had to write a HTML file and you named it like hello.html, for example. If you wanted to link to that file that you just wrote up, instead of having file name in our second example, you would replace file name with hello.html, which was the name of our file.
This is a quick checkpoint to get you guys more familiar with the A tag and linking your different HTML files together. So below we have, very intimidating code, but you don't have to worry about most of them. Hey Eric, what can we ignore from this code?
So the thing that we can ignore is the classes. Basically, this just is a way that we can connect our styling with our HTML, like the actual structure of the website. But we'll talk a lot about that in depth later on. So just for now, kind of accept it as it is and just understand that basically it gives styling to our elements.
Yep, the most important things to note is the different tags, like such as nav, ul, and li. So it seems like a lot, but we'll quickly cover over it. Nav is basically telling HTML that this element is a nav bar. Traditionally, there is no difference between a div and a nav, but when coding it up, if you want to have good coding style, using a nav and basically representing an element how they should be represented is the preferred option. And ul, I think we covered in the last video, refers to unordered list, and li are the elements inside. And notice inside li, there are a href is equal to index.html. These are the different HTML files we'll be connecting to these lists. Anything to add to that, Eric?
It's just an interesting thing, I guess, is that in our LIs, we don't just have text anymore, right? Like the last video. Instead, we have links. So you can kind of like put, I guess, separate elements inside of list items, which is a pretty cool feature.
Yeah, we ran into a little bit of a problem with glitch, so we'll just be sticking with this editor for this video, hopefully. Everything should look the same as Glitch. It's just this is in another text editor. So let's look at our website right now. As you can see, we just have background, the nav bar, and just a container in the center. That's all we have for the website. And in this task, we have to link the different elements of the navbar to different HTML files. So Eric, what do you think? And I'll pause the video. Yep, resume.
Good. Alright, cool. So it seems that our links don't do anything, and they also say the wrong thing, because to do isn't a very good heading for anyone to click on, because who knows what that would take you. So I think the first thing we should do is get our links to take us to the right pages, and then I guess we need to change our text after that. So Kenneth, how do you reckon we'd go about doing that?
Yep. In the previous slides, we covered the A tag in HTML, which links to another website, or it could link to another HTML file. This is perfect for what we need to do, because we're trying to make the navbar link to different HTML files in our web page. So let me demonstrate. So here we link this one to index.html, which is the current file we're editing, and we'll just call it timer, because this is where our Olympic timer is. So yeah, I'll quickly go and change the rest.
So what you'll notice is that the events.html page and the events text kind of line up perfectly. So it's always good practice to name your pages whatever they're going to be related to, not just some like random word or like random name. That makes it easy to like keep track of what's going on in your code.
Yep, as Eric was saying, it's always good to have your navbars named in a fashion that you know which link points to which web page. So now when we click our events, it will link us to different parts. As you can see, there's still a lot of stuff missing, and that's for you to fill out.
Alright, so next we're going to learn about grouping. So when we make a web page, sometimes we want to make sure that certain things stay together. For example, we might want some text and image to always be together wherever they are on the page.
This is where divs come in. In the last video, we covered divs, and they're basically dividing the web page up into different blocks. So if you think about it, different elements sort of belong in the same group, and when that's true, you want to encase those two elements inside a div. As you can see, there in the example below, we have hi, I'm a h1 in a div, and the other one is I'm stuck with the h1. So in this case, we can kind of assume that these two text is in a group together, and we'll pretty much have a div encapsulating those two elements.
Alright, so a div is basically just a division or section in your web page, kind of like what Kenneth mentioned earlier. And putting elements between div tags groups them into the same section. If we move the div, the items move as well. So if we look at our picture, we can see that these are two separate divs, and inside each of them is a bit of text. So that just kind of helps you understand what a div looks like on a page, I guess. So next, we'll make a div to group our link and Olympic logo together to make up our navigation bar. This is because we always want the link and image to be in the same place, at the top left of the page. We need a div that holds both together with a class name of navbar title. And we need a div for the picture and text as well, each with class name navbar title items. So this is just to get the styling for the navbar so that we can make sure it looks the same as the rest of the page. So
Yep.
Kenneth, you want to do the demo for this one?
Yep, no worries.
Alright, so now that we've got our navbar kind of working, we see that we're missing an image in the navigation bar. So you might be thinking, well, how do we add this image? Well, it's actually pretty simple. All we need to do is add an image by adding an img tag. So they look pretty similar, which is why it's easy to remember how to add images. So what exactly is an IMG tag, Kenneth?
So the IMG tag is just another element. It's actually very similar to the A tag. So instead of a href, there's a source tag, and inside the source, similarly to the href, we have linking. We have it linking to a file name. In this case, in the example, it's dog.jpg, and the additional property you see alt, that just refers to the image description. So when your website doesn't really load your image in time, it will just display the alt text.
So the image can be set using either a link just from the internet or a local file, just like what Kenneth mentioned just then. So for an internet link, it's a bit different to the way Kenneth mentioned, in that we add it in the way shown below. So instead of having our source as being the file name of your image, it would just be the website address of the image. And everything else is pretty much the same. And Kenneth kind of talked through this already about the local files. But basically, for our source, we now have the file name as the file, as the kind of text that we need for the source property. Alright, so now that we're familiar with the IMG tag and adding images to our web page, let's add the Olympic logo to our navigation bar. So Kenneth, would you like to take it away with the demonstration?
Sounds good. Now that we want to add our Olympic logo, we need to consider grouping, a concept we covered a couple slides back. We want the logo and the text Olympics 2020, these, to be sort of in the same, I guess, group. So, Eric, how do we do that again?
So as we talked about earlier, we'd have to put all these items inside of a div. Because if you remember back, a div allows us to group our elements together.
Yeah, first of all, we need to encapsulate our A tag element in a div. This lets us know that whatever's inside this div is part of the same group. Let me just fix some styling, indentation, makes the code look good. So yeah, inside this, we'll just add a class navbar title. Again, this isn't necessary. You can just copy this code. We'll go and explain it a little bit later. And yeah, since these are just items in navbar, we'll just have them have the class navbar title items. And yeah, if we save it, we'll go back to our code. So yeah, if we save it, and I'll pause the video. Our website currently looks like this. As you can see, Olympics 2020 actually has a little bit of text decoration now. We'll return back to the code. So yeah, what do I have to do next now, Eric?
Well, the thing that we need to do next is we notice the main difference is we don't have a logo now next to our Olympics 2020 title. So that means we need to add in our logo. And like we mentioned earlier, we'd have to use the IMG tags that we kind of talked about just then. So as you can see, Kenneth is adding the IMG tag now. And this basically just puts the Olympic logo asset and makes it a picture and puts it in your nav bar. So you might notice that the source looks a bit different. It'll be different from Glitch since we're using a local text editor. And so when you're actually doing it yourself, we'll explain how to add the link for the image as it's a bit different to adding it locally. So Kenneth, would you like to explain how the grouping kind of works in this section, just so everyone kind of understands clearly what's going on?
Yeah, no worries. Quick refresher. We want to have the image and the Olympics in the same group. So that's why we put it all under the same div with the class navbar title. We refer to everything inside the navbar title as navbar title items. Again, these are just class names and just how we named our styles. You don't have to worry about that. You just have to worry about, why we group the HTML elements in the way we do.
All right, awesome. Thanks for this explanation, Kenneth. So now would you like to show us all what the website looks like?
Yep. So you can see now we have a logo with the Olympics 2020 on the side there. And if you click Olympics 2020, it will link us back to this website.
Alright, so now that we're back on Glitch, we're just going to show you how to add the images to our website. So the first thing that we need to, I guess, know about Glitch is where all the images are kept. So we've uploaded all the images for you inside the assets, which on the left sidebar we can click on. And as we can see here, these are all the images and media that we'll be using for our website. So to add our logo, we click on the picture that we want to add, and we are shown the URL, and using that we click copy, which is the button on the right hand side. And after you click copy, it'll now copy this link to the image to your clipboard, which is basically like the thing that you can paste. So now that we have the image link copied, we replace the to-do inside SRC with the link by pasting. So like an easy shortcut is to do Control V. And after that, that'll have your image successfully shown inside the IMG tag.
I hope you guys found this video useful and most importantly, very interesting. This might be an information overload, but the main takeaways are the importance of using divs to separate different elements inside a web page, as well as the A tag, the linking between different HTML files within your project. And yeah.
Alright, so next time we'll be covering styling and CSS, so definitely be sure to join us for that. So for this video, that is all for today. So this has been Eric.
And this is Kenneth.
And we'll catch you guys next time.